Welcome to another episode of Kookievision. In this video, I'm going to be making a Gymnast Girl sugar cookie. This cookie cutter was actually made for me by Sweet Shapes Co., and I'll make sure to give you the link to their shop in the description. So I'm starting off with her hair, and I'm doing this blonde. This is a nice rich yellow color, and it's a piping consistency with a number 2 tip. And I'm outlining the bangs as well as the pigtails. And next I'm going to fill it in with the same yellow using a flooding consistency here in a squeeze bottle. And I'm just doing the pigtails first, but it really doesn't matter which part you do first. This is one of those circumstances where it doesn't matter if the bangs and the pigtails kind of run into each other to create a bigger blob, because I am actually going to re-outline it when I'm doing the details just later on. And I'm using the same flooding consistency yellow to flood in the bangs now, and I'll just use my scribe tool to even everything out, get rid of any air bubbles, and bring all the icing towards the edges. So I've let the yellow crust over just a little bit so the colors don't run into each other. And I'm using a pink piping consistency royal icing here with a number 2 tip. And I'm filling it in with the same color in a flooding consistency. And this is basically her suit. And while it's still dry, after I go over it with the scribe tool to get rid of any air bubbles and get rid of any gaps in the icing, I'm going to use a flooding consistency white to give her some polka dots. Now I'm using a squeeze bottle fitted with a coupler and icing tip attachment, but you can use any squeeze bottle, it will work. Now the rest of the details in the background, the rest of the flooding, is all ivory details. Obviously you could use any skin tone that you wish. I'm going with ivory in this circumstance, and I just outlined the bottom of her face, her hands in a handstand position. You don't have to worry about fingers or, just get the thumb and the palm of the hand. It is a cartoon character, so there's not too much emphasis on that. And as well as the legs in a split position, and you kind of give it like 3 little bumpies, so you got the bumpy for her foot and for her calf and for her thigh. And I just outlined those, and I'm going to flood in the face first with a ivory color in the flooding consistency this time. And I'm just filling in the face, and I'm going to use my scribe tool to even it all out, get rid of any air bubbles. And I want to add some blushed cheeks, so I've got some pink flooding consistency here, and while the ivory color is still wet, I just pipe a few dots into the cheeks, and they sink right into these flesh tone kind of color, and it'll create a nice level surface. I'm also filling in the legs and getting rid of any air bubbles with my scribe tool again. And for the cheeks, there's always a few ways to do things, and I just opted for the flooding of the pink into the ivory color this time around, but you can always just leave it entirely ivory or whatever skin tone you use, and then go over it later with a brush and some pink petal dust to create the blushy cheeks. But that works just as well. I've also flooded in the arms. So, for the leotards, I actually opted, instead of flooding in the colors, I mixed together some pearl luster dust to give it some shine, mixed with some pink petal dust, and then I also mixed in some vodka to make it paintable. And I'm just painting up to the feet on these legs, and I've given this sufficient time to dry overnight to make sure that the background is nice and solid before I paint on it. Since I'm often making a lot of cookies, I often do my background flooding and then my details the next day, so they do have nice sufficient time to dry. I'm also doing her eyes, so I've got some black Americolor, super black actually, mixed with a touch of vodka to make it paintable and kind of dilute it a little bit. It makes it a lot easier to paint. And I just brushed on with a liner brush 3 little eyelashes. And I'm using the back of the paintbrush, which is perfect for the pupils. And you just dip it into the paint and dab it onto the face to create the eyes. And I give a little bit of a swoop, a little U shape for the mouth with the same black liner brush. And I'm also re-outlining her face on the bottom and giving her a little bit of a nose. And I used the same piping consistency ivory color that I used initially to outline her face. I'm also using the same piping consistency yellow that I used earlier with a number 2 tip, and I'm re-outlining her bangs and her pigtails and giving her a little bit of a scruff, I guess, on her hairline to give it a bit of texture. And the same thing for the pigtails. I'll just add a little kind of a swoop in the middle to give it a bit more texture to make it look a little bit less blocky. And lastly, I'll just use my piping consistency pink again to re-outline her suit. And there we have it, a cute little gymnast girl doing a handstand and split. And you can see I made a bunch of them, they're all lined up, ready to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like me on Facebook and on Instagram. Bye!